at taking out enemies. However, you need to be careful how often you use it because it uses up a gauge. Once that gauge runs out, knights can't use it anymore. To refill the gauge, you need to gain points by flying through rings. Kinda like Superman 64, except actually fun! Now you may be asking yourselves, how the heck do you win at Knights? Well, this is where these two games kind of split up and go their own separate way. In the original Knights into Dreams, in each and every level, you have to free all the Idia in each area after they were taken away by the Nightmarans. To do this, you must collect 20 blue orbs. Once you have 20 blue orbs, you take them to the containment unit and use it to break out the Idia. Next, you take the Idia and you fly back to the White Tower and continue on a different path to free the next Idia. This is handled completely different in Knight's Journey of Dreams. After you duelize with knights and go flying around, you have to find the 3 birds that are holding the keys to knights' cages. You chase them down, attack them and take the key, and then break through the cage to the next part of the area. Now, this is still fun, the only problem is it doesn't make any sense. Why would knights require the keys to all the cages? I guess he doesn't want to get locked up, but if he doesn't want to get locked up, why not just leave the area? Is there some kind of requirement to get to the boss by breaking these cages? It just doesn't make much sense at all. I don't know why they would change the gameplay like that. We'll make it new and original. We'll make it so you chase after birds to get keys to cages you weren't locked up in and you don't need to get the keys for. What was Sega thinking? It's still fun, it just doesn't make any sense. So I've explained how you win in Knights, but how do you lose in Knights? Well, oddly enough, both games are actually similar in this respect. In Knights into Dreams, there's a timer. You lose time every time you hit an enemy or run into a trap. And of course, the timer is always counting down. The timer is only replenished after you return to the White Tower with an Idia. If you run out of time, Knights will transform back into Claris or Elliot. And the game gets a bit interesting at this point, because while you were stuck on a 2D plane as Knights, as Claris and Elliot you're free to run around in a completely 3D environment without any limitations. And they can jump around too. However, don't think it's much fun, because it isn't. The only reason they're wandering around is to get back to Knights. And you better be careful because there's a clock chasing you, and if that alarm clock catches you, it's night over. It's a pretty interesting concept. It means that even if you run out of time, you still have a chance to redeem yourself. Though don't expect to get a good ranking for the level if you do this. And in Journey of Dreams, they just remove this aspect altogether. If you run out of time, it's all over. No redeeming yourself with the kids this time. Journey of Dreams has some pretty interesting transformations, but Knights into Dreams also has something unique about it. Trick rings. As you go through a level, you may find a ring that looks like this. After you go through it, you're given a short period of time to do tricks. You can perform tricks in both Journey of Dreams and Knights into Dreams by pressing the shoulder buttons. By pressing them in different combinations, Knights will perform several very interesting acrobatic stunts. The more stunts you perform after hitting a trick ring, and the bigger loops you create while doing tricks, gives you a bigger score. Though not a very big feature, I do miss trick rings in Journey of Dreams. It gives tricks meaning other than just something to do for fun. But Knights is more than just flying around and breaking cages and breaking containment units. There are also several bosses Knights has to defeat. In both games, these bosses are interesting and fun to play against, and there's several unique ways of fighting them. In Knights into Dreams, you have to fight a cat named Claus by destroying all of his mice missiles so he has nothing left to stand on and you can take him out. In Journey of Dreams, there's a witch that sends cats around. You move this table around to destroy the cats by sending them into holes. After all of her cats are gone, the witch is completely helpless. Then there's Riala. Oh yeah, the Shadow of the Knights series before Shadow was even made up. In the original Knights, you had to paraloop each other. And you could also grab hands, which felt epic. Sadly, I think the boss fight with Riala kinda got a little stupid in Journey of Dreams. Instead of paralooping each other, you end up sending meteors at each other. Slow-moving meteors. It's not very fun. And then there's Wise Man. He pretty much has the same attacks he had in the original Knights. He sends out rocks, tornadoes, and it's your job to get past these obstacles and, well, hit him. However, there's a slight change in Journey of Dreams. After each attack, you get the chance to replenish your drill dive energy. Also, the only way to defeat Wiseman is to use your several persona forms. Use the dolphin to get past the tornadoes, use the dragon to get past the missiles, and use the rocket to get past all of his clones, because he's on the far end of this screen and you'll never make it as normal Knights. It adds a lot to the boss battle and it's pretty interesting. There's also a whole bunch of other bosses you can fight, but I won't go into that much detail about them. Just play these games. They're fun. Alright, there's only 2 more things about gameplay that I want to talk about. First of all, let's talk about A-Life. Back when Nights came out, A-Life was a type of system that Sonic Team was working on to raise artificial life. This eventually led to the Chow Garden, which was well liked by a lot of people. However, it kind of started out a bit limited. The only thing you could do in the original Nights was grab a Nightmaren and fling it at a Nightopian, turning him into something else. However, the only thing this really did was change how the music was played during the game. I don't really bother to do it. However, Sonic Team tried to improve this system by implementing an entire area where you can play around with the Nightopians you help out through the levels. The My Dream segment is also affected by the Weather Channel on the Wii. When I first heard about it, I thought, wow, maybe this will be the next big thing. Maybe it'll be as fun as the Chow Garden. Do yourself a favor and go pick up a copy of Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, because the Chow Garden there is a blast to play compared to this thing. It's just boring. You don't really do anything. Occasionally Nightmarens appear in the garden, you hit them with blue orbs. Occasionally Nightopians get sad, you hit them with blue orbs. Sure, random stuff will appear in My Dreams to interact with, like a big pot with water in it or a note you can hit, but it's just not fun. I doubt that many people realize that the original Nights into Dreams had a multiplayer system. However, it was pretty limited. All you did was you played the Nights vs. Riella boss fight. One of you was Nights, the other was Riella. You tried to power loop each other to death. It was way too limited to be any fun. In Nights Journey of Dreams, however, they decided to add a bunch of other features. Now you can race through levels, or try and kill each other with the meteors, but knowing how little fun that was in single player, I doubt I'd try it in multiplayer. So for the first time ever, I decided to try out the online Wi-Fi multiplayer. First, I was searching for a random opponent. 2 minutes went by and I gave up. I highly doubt anyone would be looking for random opponents to play this game online. After that, I chose to just play a local game with myself. Nights was using the classic controller, Riella was using the retarded pointer function. And let me tell you, if you think the pointer controls are bad when you have a whole screen to work with, imagine trying to use the pointer when you have half a screen to work with. This mode seems to be a lot more fun than the original Nights into Dreams multiplayer. But then again, multiplayer has never been a big feature in Nights, so who cares? Guess it could be fun for a few minutes. Okay, we're finally moving out of gameplay and getting into graphics. Nights isn't really graphically impressive in any way for its generation, which is pretty sad considering it's a great game. But often, I don't really think about the graphics, I'm just enjoying the game so much. This is a case of great gameplay overcoming limited graphics. Even though the graphics are really pixelated, the world that Sonic Team created definitely feels like a dream. Everything feels bizarre and out of place, which in my opinion is what a dream is. I mean, you got trains coming out of nowhere, the ceiling that should be sky is more ground. That is not explainable in any way. In some areas, the floor, which is made of grass, is bouncy like rubber. I guess what I'm trying to say is, even though the graphics look pixelated and not that good, the design was very well done. The graphics in Journey of Dreams, however, is something entirely different. Now, of course, it goes without saying that the graphics in Journey of Dreams would be loads better than the original, due to the huge generational gap. Like the original, the game is also graphically inferior to other games of its generation. Now, you could say this is because it's on the Wii, but there are several games on the Wii that look a lot better than Journey of Dreams. The strange thing about Journey of Dreams, however, is that the graphics seem to be a mixed bag. At some points, the levels look breathtaking and really good for the Wii. However, I feel like for some of the character models, they just got lazy. The kids look kind of bad. Their facial animations just look hideous, even for a Wii game. On a side note, the ground is no longer in the sky. I don't know why, but it isn't. Still, the levels in Journey of Dreams look just as imaginative as the original. Alright, we're finally going to talk about sound. The music in the original Nights into Dreams is absolutely amazing. That game possesses some of the most fun and enjoyable music out of any game I've ever played. My personal favorite is Soft Museum, but there are lots of melodies in the original that are really fun to listen to. And surprisingly, Journey of Dreams actually competes rather well with the original in the sound department. Most of the original sound effects are still in there, like the drill dive. The level music and sound effects are all very well done, and all deserve a 9 out of 10, if not a 10 out of 10. However, there is something about the sound that just isn't that good. In Journey of Dreams, that is. The voice acting. Now when it comes to voicing Nights, it took a lot of thought. I mean, Nights isn't it, remember? No gender. So what do? You try to get a voice that sounds somewhere in between. Basically, what you end up with is a female actress playing Peter Pan, which actually was a probably good idea to go with that. I can't think of anything else meant to talk. The voice actors for the kids aren't very good at all. They're pretty much emotionless. They'll be yelling like, "Nights!" and "Hello, Will. Thank you, Will," with just no emotion whatsoever. Wiseman's voice was perfect. I could not have hoped for a better Wiseman voice. So deep and menacing. Very well done.
Wiseman!
So, in conclusion, which is the better game? I don't know. You decide. Personally, my favorite is the original. But really, Journey of Dreams is a pretty fun game too. I consider it more of an expansion than a real sequel though, since the original and Journey of Dreams are so short. Well, that's all the time I have left. Next time, I'll start a 5-part video series retelling the history of an adventure of a boy and a net and a bunch of crazy apes who time travel. That work.